Here with me now, former Reagan Economic Advisor and Laffer Associates Chairman, Art Laffer. Art, it's always great to see you. Hope you had a wonderful holiday. But I do want to dig.
Jackie, great.
Good. I want to dig into this headline because it's so amazing to me. I know people who are trying to hire right now having a tough time not only finding qualified candidates that are willing to work, but also people are demanding salaries well over $75,000 a year, and they have no experience in the field. I mean, where do people get off demanding that kind of money in this country when some of them haven't worked at all before?
Because they can get away with it. I mean, wages are like anything else. They're market determined. And these people have gotten so many new amenities from previous stimulus spending that they've got plenty of cash on hand, so they don't have to go back to work today. They can wait around for a better job. And even with this idea that debt forgiveness will be coming along, a lot of these people, that's a huge increase in their assets. And that also allows them to do it. And if you'll remember also, Jackie, the wages grew much more slowly than inflation, but now that's starting to reverse. So there really is a catch-up aspect to this as well.
Yeah, and I want to talk to you about the omnibus bill, $1.7 trillion, because we talk about inflation generally on this show. Many times we've discussed it with you. Inflation is still 7.1%, and so it's a little surprising to me, surprising and not surprising, that we're spending, again, to the tune of almost $2 trillion when we haven't fixed our problem.
Well, the problem is these people are spending other people's money. And that's really fun. I mean, gosh, if I could spend all the money you make, Jackie, or all these other people make with no recriminations whatsoever, with no liability, with not being held accountable, I'd do it too. These people are just basically spending other people's money with no account whatsoever. They don't feel guilty about it, and they do it, and they are no accountability for them. They all get reelected anyway, either way.
Yeah.
So it's really a tragic part of our system. By the way, it's a systemic problem.
Try to, give me a little bit of a forecast here of what happens, because I've watched the Fed raise rates, I think it was 7 times this year so far, and now we're expecting another rate increase in January of 25 basis points. My expectation is the Fed has to keep going, probably farther than Jerome Powell even wants to try to get inflation down to 2% to combat the spending that's happened here. I mean, to me, in a perfect world, or what at least seems marginally reasonable, would be that both sides would be working together. Government spending would come down, he'd raise the rates, we'd meet in the middle somewhere. But, Biden is looking at Jerome Powell and just expecting him to flick a switch and fix this. It's not possible.
Well, usually the administration and the Fed are battling, and they're conflicting right now as well. This is a normal procedure to be happening. And the Fed is trying to control inflation, and these guys are just spending money like drunken sailors, to be honest with you. But when you look at these numbers, Jackie, and let me just go through this fairly quickly, there are a lot of very high inflation numbers 12 months ago, 11 months ago, 10 months ago, all these things. When they drop off, there will be the appearance that inflation is coming down, 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 down. That appearance will disappear a few months after 6 months or so. So there will be an environment for the next 6 months where it looks like the Fed's winning on the inflation front. We'll have to see what happens with the monthly numbers to see if that's true longer term. But the appearances will be there.
Art, I hear you, and I imagine those numbers are going to start to come down a little bit, but I also feel part of this is embedded in the economy. So you can look at the cost of commodities, for example, which are easy to track, and the Fed can calculate, BLS can calculate these inflation numbers. But I always say, the raw goods, the food, for example, that has skyrocketed so much, when it goes to a restaurant and they're putting it all together and they're cooking you a meal, they're not going to bring their prices down.
No, they're not. They're not. It's never going to come back down to where it was. It's just that prices are going to increase by slower amounts, Jackie. You're not going to see price levels drop, except in certain items like the stock market. Oh, it's dropping big time there. You're going to also see it in housing prices. It's dropping quite big time there. Yeah. But you're not going to see it in consumable items. You're just not going to see that. You're not going to see wages going backwards. You're not going to see any of that. We got a sticky part here that's going to happen. But only in houses and the stock prices you're going to see the real damage done by their policies.
Art, if I can just, final point that I wanted to make and get your take on this is that the markets really got hit in December as people realized, investors realized that the inflation situation is not under control, and then you had more spending to add insult to injury here. When is the market going to realize? Because I don't think that aha moment has happened yet, and I see it coming possibly first quarter 2023. I think it's going to be a real wake-up call for people. What do you think?
Well, Jackie, what I think is you underestimated the size of the problem, because we've had inflation of something like 7% over the last year. So if you take that 7% off the Dow, let's say, that's another 2,000+ points that we've really dropped that haven't been shown because of inflation. So the problem is really there. I don't know when it's going to happen, but my guess is when policies change, that's when things are going to happen. And I don't see any prospect for policies changing in the near term. 2024 is my hope of all hopes that we finally get a change in this world, but we'll have to wait and see, Jackie.
Art Laffer, I hope that too. It's great to see you tonight. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Good to see you, Jackie. Good job, by the way.
Thank you.